So welcome back, everybody, to Legal Tech Briefs. I'm your host, Zach Posner, and today we have a truly special guest, a good friend, and someone who's spent decades at the intersection of technology, leadership, and business transformation. Joining us is our friend Subroto. He's the CEO of Integreon. For those that don't know Integreon, they're a global leader in alternative legal and business solutions. Subroto's had some amazing experiences. He's, this includes leading divisions and organizations such as Rackspace to DXC to HP. He's been thinking about innovation, growth, customer-led strategies, customer-first strategies for many years. And, I think he joined Integreon in 2022. So he's been thinking about the legal world the last couple of years. We're excited to spend a few minutes with him today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Zach. Pleasure to be here. And thank you for getting me into the legal tech family.
We're thrilled to have you. And thank you for sharing a few of your minutes with us. But I guess not sure where to start. If we start with Integion, let's start with you a little bit. Maybe I mentioned some powerhouse companies, and maybe give us a little arc of your career and how you got to where you're sitting today.
Thank you. Yeah, happy to do it. I grew up in India, after college, got into the technology services industry. Not to go too far back, I started my career with Wipro when it was a very small company. And then I spent 20 years with HP, wearing various badges, digital, compact, HP, DXC, always in IT services. Then I went and spent 3.5 years with Rackspace, in between which we took the company public in the midst of COVID. So that was fun, right? Different kind of learning. And I came to Integreon now looking back the same week that ChatGPT got launched. So my timing was perfect, right? I was wondering what is a technology guy going to do in the legal industry? And once people talk about nothing other than technology in the legal industry. So it's been great fun.
That's actually spectacular timing. Also the same week as the first TLTF summit, November 30th of 22. When you got the phone call about somebody said, "Hey, we got this thing in legal, we want you," like, where'd your mind go?
Yeah, so obviously I didn't know anything about ChatGPT coming out or whatever. My mind went to that over the last many years, many decades actually. I'd helped many business functions and companies transform their business by leveraging technology. And my feeling was that legal was a little behind, right? And I thought there was an opportunity to bring IT services and technology expertise, the migration to the cloud, the leverage of new technology solutions to this industry. I also found Integreon to be the right size, not too big, not too small. I have the greatest of respect for huge companies, but it is very hard to get things done in a defined time frame. And I wanted to come into a more manageable organization, right? And so the domain that could leverage technology, the right size of the company, and the owner in EagleTree Capital that was growth oriented, not drive cost out oriented, right? Those three things made it very attractive. The final thing that attracted me to Integreon, the last part was before coming on board, I requested to read their customer surveys for the last few years. And I looked at the customers set and I read their surveys, very few customers, but I read the surveys and I just loved it. I said, this is the place that I want to be in. I've always been client focused, seen a company that has as much of a love from its customers as this company has.
Maybe now is a good time to jump into Integreon. Give kind of a quick overview of of the shape, the size, the scope, and the types of customers you're working with. Because I want to jump into some stuff about tech and the rate of change. But maybe first it's helpful to understand like where you guys are sitting in the lens you sit with.
Sure. So Integreon is a legal ALSP, alternate legal service provider, although I think the word alternate is now obsolete. It was one of the pioneers of that industry. It started 25 years ago, right? Has always had a global delivery model with customers mostly in US and UK, and delivery centers in US, UK, India, and Philippines, right? Eagle Tree Capital, a mid-market private equity fund out of New York, bought the company in 2021, and after a CEO change, etc., reached out. I've never worked with Eagle Tree, didn't know them, right? So this is through, typical search firm, right? They reached out to me, and I joined them, as I said, in Q4 of 22, right? November of 22, right? Eagle Tree, as I said, is a growth-oriented company, and what I liked about Integreon was that it had few customers. 20 customers make up over 80% of the revenue.
Wow.
The average duration of those 20 customers now is 13 years, right? So the company is 25 years old. Most of the customers have been with it for 30, average is 13 years. Some have been there obviously longer. And they are the who's who of industries. So they're like not just Fortune 500, they're like equivalent of Fortune 100 companies, and they love the so that was the combination that really attracted me to the firm.
And then today, like directionally, about how many people, like what's the size? And I know you guys still have a pretty big global footprint.
Yeah, so we are about 3,400, 3,500 people. We are about $125 million in revenue. The company has always been profitable, right? So not greatly profitable, but comfortably profitable, right? And the revenues are growing faster than people are growing, and the leverage of technology is enabling that to happen.
Well, that's where I was going to go next. When you, and maybe if I ask you to zoom out a little bit, because you've seen a couple of these, I don't know if you call them waves or shifts. How does this? You've been in and around technology companies for 35 years. How does this wave of technology with AI feel for the potential impact that it could have compared to, maybe the last wave of mobile or the one before it, and thinking about browsers? Like, I'm just curious how this feels compared to the other ones.
No, absolutely. So, yeah, I've seen many waves of technology, right? When I first started working in this industry, I was part of the wave move from mainframes to mini computers. So I'm that old, right? So mainframe to mini computers to PC to the web to the mobile to cloud, right? I've seen so many of them, right? So this looks very similar with some differences, right? One thing that is or the difference is that the adoption rate is faster. We all know that, right? ChatGPT reached 100 million users faster than anything, right? So the steepness of the curve is higher, right? And that makes the to, let's say, 50% adoption in the target market as a metric. It compresses that, right? How long did it take for a PC to be on 50% of the desks, right? As compared to how long did it take for 50% of the relevant people to be on mobile, as compared to them using AI? The time is compressing. The peak is higher, the time is compressing, right? So, but that said, the other parts are all same, right? They're all same, that it's not that the old thing disappears overnight. Every time there is a technology change, right, there is a shuffling, right, of the players in the marketplace. People who adopt the technology faster stand to benefit more. To wait for the perfect answer is the wrong solution. It is better to start with what you believe today to be good, and not wait for the perfect answer to emerge, right? Because by that time the train has left the station. So all of those learnings from past waves of technology change or technology disruption hold true this time as well, if anything more so.
Do you think it's going to be more like we work a lot with we interact a lot with law firms in our day-to-day job, and we see law firms of all shapes and sizes and the way that they think about this stuff. And I am literally starting to think this could be like a K-like environment. Like you're going to have like some cohort of law firms that like
Yeah.
the ones that are experimenting even with the wrong stuff now, but building it into their DNA. And then the ones that are just ignoring it. Like I think there's, and that day, that famous Bill Gates quote, people overestimate a year or two, they underestimate 10. Like
The
I'm not
10-year
saying that,
impact.
yeah, I don't think it's tomorrow, but like I do think that I think this is going to be like, there's going to be the haves and the have-nots. I don't know if you agree with that too.
I 100% agree with it, right? People who start using the technology, start play, and it's more than play, actually deploying it in their work environments, knowing full well that what they deploy today may not be the best tomorrow, knowing full well that oftentimes early adopters pay a premium price for the solution, right? That's fine, right? So long as you don't lock in that price point forever,
Yeah.
right? And are able to renegotiate it, right? So realizing that, getting in there, getting your whatever, not just your toes, but wading into the water and learning to swim, those are the people that will gain. People who, and we have seen this so many times, right? You could argue for a while that the PC is a toy, right? Why would anybody want a computer on his desk, was a
Yeah.
statement attributed to a brilliant IT CEO, right? Brilliant person, right? And you could argue that for months at end, but it is better not to argue and figure out a way of using it than to argue that it won't affect our industry, or the courts won't allow it, or hallucinations will create a problem, or what happens to my commercial model where I bill by the hour. All valid questions, but adopt the technology and work to solve those problems.
Yeah, and they will get solved. You're
They will
reminding
get
me a
solved.
couple examples I think about. Like I always think about when Airbnb came out, everybody said you'll get murdered if you stay in somebody,
Correct. Correct. Yeah.
or the early applications of the iPhone. It was like Flashlight was the number one
Yeah.
paid app 2 years
Yes. Number
in.
one paid app was Flashlight. Exactly.
Yeah, and the
Exactly.
free one was iBeer, where you drink a beer like this,
Sure.
and I think that's where we are with this stuff. I mean, it's been remarkable. Like, I don't know what you think drove that curve up with the 100 million users, the fastest of the 100 million users, but to me, it was just like the best demo that's ever existed. I don't know what was working back then or what wasn't, but when you saw text generate up on that screen, like my eyes were like, oh my gosh, this is pretty
Absolutely.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So computers have long, and this is simplifying it, right? Have made numbers easier. Anything to do with numbers, right? So finance was one of the early applications or whatever. This is the first time that people really saw it make words easier. And if you're in the legal industry, you're dealing a lot with words, and
Yep.
words matter. And here was something that was really good with words. Almost magic. How is it that basically a token based prediction cloud is able to come up with, make sense of things? But you don't have to get into the technology that enables that to happen. The applicability was very visible.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. But to bring this back to you, so you guys have already started to incorporate some of this, as you said. Hey, revenue's going up, and hopefully, and costs are not necessarily going up as much. Like hopefully,
Yeah.
technologies.
So what we decided to do was to lean in, right? So number one, learn the technology, right? So build a strategy. We are not a technology company. We are a
Yep.
services company. We're a services company that understands the legal domain, has long-standing relationship with enterprise customers. So we went and decided to build, partner, buy strategy for technology. We build solutions using our in-house where there is a very specific problem that we can solve for a customer, right? To become more efficient. We partner with legal technology companies we were the first ALSP to have an enterprise-wide license for a legal Gen AI product, right? So we bought it across the enterprise, knowing full well that initially not even 1% of the people will use it. But
Yeah.
that's okay. The moment you do not buy an enterprise license and you ask every project manager to cost for the license, there is resistance to adoption of technology. So make it a corporate commitment, buy it, make it available to everybody, and you'll automatically see who's using it, not using it. We just looked at this data on Wednesday. Since we made the enterprise license available to everybody last, 18 months ago, we have had more than 400 people certified on Gen AI out of our 3,000 something,
That's awesome.
right? And our for those people who have taken the effort to get certified is less than half of those who did not do it. Normally, you would think that the certified people will have a higher attrition because the market will come and hire them, right? Because they are trained and certified now, they'll get paid more,
Yeah.
etc. But the reverse is true because they see here the opportunity to learn, right? That they're it's paying for itself just in reduced attrition, I think.
Yeah. How the no, that's an interesting concept. If you just make the licenses available to people, like encourage, to encourage them that it's okay to try it. It's there
Yeah,
for you. It's
try
not
it.
out of your expense account or whatever it is. It's there.
You still have to get trained. For example, we train people on where can you use this technology. You can't use it for your customer work without your
Yeah.
customer's permission. How do you look out for hallucination? How do you look out for bias? How do you make sure that our data is not used to train the model? So first we trained our people on all that, and then
Yeah.
we let them loose on the technology.
And is what about on the cultural side? Like, is it when you're thinking about a team the size of the size of Integreon, it's like how much of a cultural mindset? Like, is it
Yes.
difficult or are people excited about this?
No. So it varies, right? They're the usual, early adopters, right? People who will get in there, and I'm sure there's a tail of people who don't want to use technology. But most of our people, because we have always been a tech-enabled company, are more in the I want to try it, I want to use it, I want to find the cycles in my life to get trained on it, to certified on it. More of them are on that side of the curve. That's point number one. Point number two is that we addressed upfront what will this technology do to your jobs, right? There was this, Goldman Sachs report of 45% of all jobs will get
Or yeah,
automated and go away, right? So we went to our people and said, look, we don't know whether it is 45%, 55%, 0%. How much will the pie grow? So it's 45%. But what we know is that people who learn and use the technology will always have a value. So sort of in a half jocular way, I used to say Gen AI is not going to take any of our jobs away. But another guy who learns Gen AI, if I don't learn it, guy or gal, could take
yeah,
my job away. Right. So you decide now what you want to do. And people they're very key. And we didn't give people, whatever, time off to go and learn this and get certified or whatever. People found their time. They
yeah.
did their work and found the time to get educated, take the courses, get trained, get certified, etc.
I a couple careers ago, I was in the corporate learning space, and there was just this meme, and it said, "Well, what happens if we invest all this money in training and then the people leave?" Well, what happens if you don't invest and the people stay?
Stay. Exactly. Exactly. Right.
If do you, you know, as we move from that 2 year to 10 year Bill Gates construct, what do you think happens? Where does the business go? Are you guys able to do more? Are you able to do higher level work? Are you able to be like, how does your relationship change with your clients?
Yeah, we think a lot about this, right? So the first thing to I think remember is that because of the cost, complexity, affordability, etc., the demand for legal services far exceeds what the market is able to consume. A large, especially in America, in
Yeah.
US, a large part of the market is not served because legal expertise is so expensive, right? So there is a latent demand for much more legal expertise or legal work that can be done if the price point of it was more affordable, or if routine work got automated to free up cycles for people. So this is not, in my view, right, a demand constraint environment. The demand is what it is because the price point is where it is. As the price point moves down, the demand will expand. That's point number one.
Yep.
Point number two is that the role for a tech-enabled service provider increases in this environment because the customer comes across a legal situation or the need to use a particular technology once in a while a service provider does that every day, day in and day out, right? Doing a particular thing, right? You want somebody who does this day in and day out using a technology rather than you go and learn the technology for the 5 times that you'll have
Yeah.
to use it in a year, right? So the value for a service provider that is tech enabled increases as the component of technology in the solution increases, right? And finally, number three, and I'll stop with this, is that as technology becomes more sophisticated, domain becomes more important. And legal is a specific domain. So as legal technology solutions come up that are driven by generative AI or machine learning or neural networks or any of these technology, the need for people who understand both the technology and the legal domain increases. And that's the sweet spot we are in.
Yeah, no, I was going to ask if you think that the work moves to completely autonomous one day. And I think that this is a specific vertical where maybe it does, but we're like way out there. Like we're not,
Yeah.
There's a big delta between today and that, that exceeds way beyond the 10-year quote, I think.
Yeah, and the yes, it would, more and more of the work will get automated, absolutely, right? Uh, but the human, for the foreseeable future, the human element to make the judgment on where to apply the technology, and then to make sure that one, the exception cases which the technology does not handle right are correctly handled, right? The ones that fall off, I couldn't answer this question, part of it. And to check that the, the solutions provided by technology are correct will require human insight, human interface, etc.
Well, and I guess on the note, you guys are coming out with products. I think you came out with one called iScan.
Yes,
If I was right.
that was for the cyber
Yeah,
domain.
shifting. Is that a little bit different of a space? Like thinking a little bit more on the.
No, yes, yes and no. So let's look at it this way, right? So there are new problems that come up with the advent of technology for which you need new solutions. A few years ago, uh, you know, cyber breaches was not quite as much of an issue as it is today, as the bad guys are using technology and a lot of
Yep.
people are getting breached, and regulations have become stricter with respect to notification, etc., etc. So we have a offering called cyber incident response, right? And we have enhanced that offering to be more tech enabled. But cyber incident response works at a problem after an incident has occurred. So our iScan product, for example, ensures that the customer knows where their crown jewel or sensitive data is,
Yeah.
and then takes steps to protect it. Today, if you pull yourself back, this is just not for iScan. This is for so many other solutions. Customers often don't know what data they have where for what, and that is a huge risk. It is a huge risk in case of a breach. We have had cases where a customer has got breached and found that they sold a company 10 years ago, but they didn't delete all the data related to it. That got breached, and now they have an obligation to the employees of that company,
Wow.
right? Or that sold division, right? Because it got breached, right? As an example, right? Or people don't know where their contracts are. right? So they have grown through acquisitions, etc. Contracts are all over the place. How do CLM solutions are so advanced and so good today, but you can't really leverage it unless you know where your data is, right? And with new technology, you can identify it, find it, collect it, report on it so much better.
So I'm just curious, like some of these things are exceeding the traditional ALSP. Like, where do you think this goes in the next decade? Like, I mean, obviously some of the cyber stuff you guys are getting into, but I'm curious, like, what else has got you excited?
Yeah, so I think the mix of legal domain expertise and technology opens up a lot of new areas like this. And the way it opens up to us is where we hear from the client a problem, right? We have some components of it. We have the understanding of the problem. We can go and scan the technology and decide how we'll apply technology to it. We put together a solution and come to the customer and do a pilot, right? And if it gels, then we do it for the customer and we do it for other customers. So I keep saying there's that, listen to and ask probing questions on what the customer's problems are, and then come back and bring it to a core group of people who understand the domain and the tech. We only have a few such people by definition, right? And we'll come up with a solution that you can take to the customer and talk to it. And we come up with potential problems to solve every week, right? So I don't see this to be a demand constraint environment at all.
Yeah.
With the dev, right? There are so many things that you can do by having of these two things.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Maybe that's a great talk, realizing we're already over the first estimate. But maybe if I we started a little bit on your personal background, and if you could reflect on your career, like one thing we love to ask is, like, what's one piece of advice you wish you would have received earlier? Or you would, we were just talking about your children, like that you would like to impart on them.
Oh, wow.
Sorry to throw that one. Sorry to throw that one to you. I know we've shifted a ton, but sorry. I want to get this out of you because we have a ton of respect for you, and you've done a lot of amazing things and seen a lot of amazing stuff.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. So the one thing that I was, I wish I had absorbed it better earlier, and I would pass on to my children as well, and I do, is that there is, the longer you stick with a problem or whatever, stay with a problem and work on a problem, the likelihood of your success or coming up with the right solution is higher. I think people overestimate the part that is brilliance, right, and underestimate the part that is persistence, right? And who was that? I think it was Edison who said it was 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. And if that was so for Edison, then for most of us, it is 99.9% persistence and 0.1%, inspiration.
Yeah, I would take persistence and curiosity over IQ any day.
Exactly. Yeah. And when you are younger, I think people tend to overemphasize the brilliance or IQ or whatever, and underestimate the impact of persistence, curiosity, hard work, all of that.
Well, maybe it's easy for you to say because I think you got all three of them. But I thank you so much for spending a few minutes with us. I thank you for being such a good friend to the fund and being so curious about our technologies that we're investing in. And looking forward to seeing you soon. And thanks for taking a few minutes and spending it with us.
Thank you, Zach. Pleasure talking with you. And you run the best event in the legal tech industry. So thank you for inviting me to it. Thank you.
That is awesome. And we're looking forward to seeing it this year. Thanks, Subroto.
See you then. Thank you.